there are other things they are losing because they are aggregating order. For example, you go to Dubai, there is a government institution that is in charge of virtual assets separately. The central bank is trying to also regulate that now. Separate entity that is regulating virtual assets. So we are losing a lot of value by aggregating all these under the central bank alone. So we should, I believe at this time, given the lessons from Emefiele's era, we should actually take out the currency control out of central bank and have some form of office of currency control. If we don't want to do that, we want to live with CBN, we should then bring out of the central bank the treasury. So we have a separate treasury. So, because even in terms of the entire gamut of risk management, we do know in the primary lesson of risk management, you cannot be the one disbursing and keeping. Because in the central bank, part of what they come to regulate in commercial banks, if they find that the treasury in the bank is the one that is disbursing loan, is the one regulating loan, is the one determining how money must be used, they will raise concern. So that's why we have credit risk, we have all those things. So that when they come, they check the delineations governed by the policies. So I believe that if we need to at least break the central bank into two. At the minimum. Take the UK example. You have a prudential regulatory agency, you have the FRA. The prudential is within the Bank of England, but you have the FRA, Financial Regulatory Authority. So you need to look at different climes. You look at Dubai, you find at least 3 regulators. US, we have about 4 or more. So China, the same. Australia, Canada, you find them because you just need to be able to find a structure that will work. But I don't think the housing of all this entire activity under the central bank is working for us anymore. More so, when they are dealing with one issue, especially when it becomes overwhelming, they are over-concentrated on it, while all other ones seem to suffer. So I think it's time to at least either create a Nigerian treasury or the local currency management is taken out of the central bank. Those are part of the thing. They need to look at it. We are missing in the futures market. There are futures markets, especially commodity futures. They are not properly regulated in my view. So our government is losing revenue. If you take example of the US, they took that out of their SEC and created the Commodities Futures Trading Commission so that they can properly regulate futures trade. If we have that, some of the activities that happened like in Binance, some of these platforms that were trading FX with different instruments, we probably would have been able to control their activity much more. So there is a lot that we are losing by not creating institutions that would align with the growth that we are pursuing. And then where people personalize institutions and want to just sit over everything. So it's time, I think the forward-looking nature of this government would necessitate that. Especially given the recent pronouncement by the president on the Presidential Economic Commission committee that is putting together. I think they need to look at the entire architecture of the economy. And the economy, if an administration is going to succeed, it's about policy, production, then prosperity. So that's what we need. Especially when we say we want to sustain the currency. We want to sustain the value of Naira and keep it sustained into the long term. We need to come to terms with that. Policies that will sponsor growth and enforce discipline and ensure productivity. That's what we need. So we need to do that. And I give you examples. Policies that can sponsor growth. Today, a lot of our agricultural products are being exported to other markets at the primary level. Take, for example, you find the exportation of unprocessed cocoa, unprocessed soya beans, unprocessed sorghum, and the likes. Cashew, all these unprocessed. Do you know that if the government can enforce that and create free trade zone as for beneficiation centers where we process and take advantage of the regional or state competitive advantages, and we create processing centers even if it's at regional levels for products that we find in different regions, and we add a bit of value or beneficiate some of our exports, we can top up, we can more than triple the price that people get for just exporting each of these items. And that becomes a lot of inflow of FX into Nigeria. Ordinary drying of cocoa, just drying, can increase your value by at least 1.5 times. So there is a lot that we can do. For example, why is it that companies like Olam and all of these companies that are aggregating our agricultural commodities and exporting them, why is government not making them to invest in setting up processing centers in the areas where they get this product from? So that they become joint venture partners with the state government and create processing centers that will enhance the life of the farmers on one side. Our farmers don't have to always remain poor. Their life can be improved because at the primary level, most of the farmers are poor. So if we have processing centers that are beneficiating, we'll buy at the right price. Because you know that once they bring it there and it's improved, you are going to get more. So the life of the farmers that are farming in the villages, in rural areas, will improve. That's one. Even where you have mechanized farms, they too will get more money to be able to increase their capacity to produce. So those are the kind of things that I believe should be happening. So we have processing centers. There is no reason we are producing shoes in Aba. They are making clothes in Aba. Why don't we have finishing centers that are center of excellence for shoes? They can make as good shoes as Gucci and Vuitton in Aba, but they can't finish them. So if the government would invest in finishing centers that will add value and quality, people will wear those shoes as good labels. So it is that investment that the individuals owning, processing these, making these shoes in Aba and these places cannot aggregate. This is where government would come in. So it is policies that sponsor growth that will make the country to produce and earn more for every effort put into production. The same way we go to buy processed goods abroad and we pay so much. So when we start to add value to our product and we enact policies that sponsor growth across different spheres of our economies, then production will be increased and the effort for producing will be worthwhile. Today, production is not as encouraging. But when you add value to it and people can see that they are making the right value, then it will become encouraging to produce. Because the cost of production, whether you are talking from energy costs to labor costs to all infrastructure support that you put in, it makes it expensive to produce. And then when you have opportunity to export, if you can process, then you are able to get good return for the effort you put in. So all these things are very crucial. So I think it's time for the government to focus, and I believe this team that they are putting together will probably look across all the states and see how do we enact policies that will sponsor growth in terms of whether government will be intervening or getting private sectors that are benefiting from the product coming from out of each of these states to invest in processing in those states. Thank you.